I have played many amazing single-player games in my life, games that made me feel so many emotions, connect with both the characters and the world in these games. However, there's one game I really didn't expect to connect with on such a level, and yet it has been living rent-free in my mind for years at this point. Given that you've read the title of the video, you know that the game I'm talking about is Cyberpunk 2077. One thing I always found funny is that when Cyberpunk first came out, I didn't really like it. While I was definitely somewhat hyped given how promising the trailers looked, when the game came out and I tried it, I ended up dropping it after maybe 2 hours. I'm not exactly sure what I disliked about it. It could have just been that the game was running horribly on my PC at the time, or I was expecting something different from the game, but I uninstalled it and moved on. That was until about a year later when I, for some reason, got the wish to play Cyberpunk again. I'm still not entirely sure why. I probably heard a song from the soundtrack which was amazing, so I decided to give it another shot. And my experience with this time around was completely different. At this point I have played through Cyberpunk 2077 3 times, I've got the Platinum Trophy for it and have also finished the Phantom Liberty expansion, which will also get its own video at some point. But what is it that made the experience so special for me, and why did I fall in love with this game? Well, I decided to split this video into chapters, and the first chapter of this story is It's a danger pretty here in Night City. Night City is the place where you spend the entirety of the game and is what I would consider Cyberpunk's true protagonist. The city has always been one of the most fascinating aspects about the game, at least to me, and there's a good reason for that. Night City is not the most beautiful or detailed world I've seen in a game, both GTA and Red Dead clear it by a mile. It's not even the biggest or most dense world, so what makes it so good? Well, for me, it's the city's soul, or rather, lack thereof. Before we even reach the main menu, Cyberpunk makes it clear that the city you're going into is rotten. It's a city where the daily body count is in a lottery in the morning news. A city where an entire district is considered too dangerous to even walk into. A city where even something as simple as finding an animal is almost impossible. This city unironically deserves Liberty City's title of the worst place in America, and yet, despite all of that, there is something just beautiful about it. Night City is a city of legends. People like Morgan Blackhand, Adam Smasher, Kerry Eurodyne, and yes, Johnny Silverhand all come from Night City, and I find it poetic that all of these people, well, aside from Kerry I guess, are people who, in a different story, would be considered monsters. I mean, Adam Smasher looks more like a monster than a human, and Johnny, as much as I love him, he's a terrorist. And the worst part is that people in this world envy them, and a lot of them hope that they will become like them someday. This just goes to show how dark and hopeless this city is, and how the biggest dream one can have is to go out in a blaze of glory and have people remember you. It's always been funny to me that Night City's tagline is a city of dreams, and yet the best dream a person can hope for is to die and be remembered for it. However, despite how awful this city is, there are still some sparkles of hope left. Maybe it's the random guy playing the guitar in the street, or even just the calm and serene feeling of sitting on top of the rooftop that Misty brings you to. This city wants you to burn it down, and frankly, it doesn't deserve a better fate than that. But sometimes you just can't help but like it. This city is full of dreamers, people who wish to hit the big leagues, and just like V's best friend, their fate is usually not a kind one. Perhaps the most bold thing about Cyberpunk's storyline for me was the fact that the most major character death in the game was revealed to the public almost 2 years before the game was released. And it wasn't until I thought more about it that I realized that it actually makes sense. Now, if you haven't played the game, Jackie is, depending on your life path, your longtime friend, or someone you beat in the beginning of the game and become friends with. Jackie represents the dreamer, the optimistic person, who, despite facing many hardships in his life, still stays charming and light-hearted, which in this world is a rare sight to see. He values friendships and his family above all else, and his big dream is to hit the major leagues and, well, become a legend. Jackie represents everything Night City isn't, and is one of those rare sparkles of hope and light in this city. Unfortunately, during the infamous Arasaka heist, where Jackie and V steal the relic for Dexter Deshawn, he gets shot and gives the relic to V, unknowingly saving his life in the process. He passes away, however, and this represents a turning point in the game. I think the reason why Jackie dies so early into the game is to show that in this world, Jackie's death and death in general don't mean much. Tens of people in the city are killed every day, and for someone like Jackie, a loyal friend who saw good in this world, there were no happy endings. However, Jackie's death created one of the most memorable and emotional moments in the game. After Jackie's death, if you choose to take the body to Mama Wells's house, you unlock the side mission Heroes, in which you take part in a ceremony for Jackie's death that takes place in the El Coyote Coyo. This is the first moment where Cyberpunk actually made me feel emotional. Arriving at the place, finding Misty sitting in front of Jackie's garage like she's just waiting for him to come home, talking to Mama Wells and listening to everyone give their speech and talk about Jackie is just incredibly well done, and it all feels so real. This also shows that, despite how little death means in this world, a person's legacy means a lot more, and shows that becoming a legend and famous means nothing if the people you loved won't remember you. This plot point heavily contrasts one of its most important characters, and the reason I'm making this video.
What did you expect? Headstone, flag, and flowers?
No, I don't know. A marker. Something. Anything.
Johnny Silverhand. If we were to talk about gaming's most iconic characters, I would have no problem putting Johnny in the top 10. When Keanu Reeves revealed Cyberpunk in 2019 during E3, I kinda worried that he would be in the game just to steal the show, since, well, he's Keanu Reeves, and that his character wouldn't actually contribute much to the game's overall narrative. And honestly, when I first met him during the opening act of Act 1, that's how I felt, but boy oh boy was I wrong about him. Johnny Silverhand represents the legend, one of those people that all mercs and criminals in this city strive to become. A punk rebel rocker who played in one of the city's most popular rock bands, while also being a fighter who wanted to take down corporate colonialism, with him dying whilst planning a nuke in the headquarters of Arasaka, one of the biggest corporations in the world. You can clearly see why he became a cult legend in this world and an idol to a lot of people. However, that's not the side of him we get to see in the game. We get to see the real Johnny Silverhand. During the first mission when we play as him, we're instantly met with a man who is, well, an asshole, filled with anger and frustration. Even his final conversation with his fellow guitarist Kerry, whom he considers a friend, is not a nice one. And Rogue, his ex-lover whom he storms Arasaka with, can barely tolerate him. And during the first parts of the game, V cannot tolerate him either. And yes, part of that is due to the fact that Johnny is indirectly trying to kill V, however, V just doesn't like him. And it's very understandable why. Johnny was an angry, drunk terrorist, and despite his charm, he was the furthest thing from a good person. However, with him being such a popular person and a legend, you would think that his death would cause a similar reaction to Jackie's death, and that his loved ones would mourn and grieve him. Well, during the mission Chipping In, V and Johnny go to visit his grave, only to find out that it's a junkyard. There is nothing, not even a gravestone. This is such a powerful scene for me, and it shows that despite Johnny's status, nothing he did in his life ultimately mattered, as nobody even bothered to come to his grave. Everybody remembered what they think Johnny Silverhand represented, but nobody remembers him as a person. This is such a strong moment as Johnny realizes that his life as a selfish bastard, as he puts it, ultimately ended with nobody mourning him and nobody remembering him. Everything I've said so far about this game and this world would be borderline depressing. However, if it was just this, then the game or this world wouldn't actually be so special. Cyberpunk 2077 world is a dark place with horrible people, criminals, and just a hopeless dystopian future. But the people living are not hopeless. Humans are never necessarily good or evil, and despite the circumstances, pure, honest feelings and relationships can exist, and Cyberpunk showcases that perfectly. The most obvious example would be Jackie, a person who, despite practically being born into a life of violence thanks to his father, still has it in him to love and to be a good friend. He genuinely loves Misty and considers V a true friend, even letting him live in his own house for a good while. Then there's Victor, your Ripper dog, who loves you and Jackie, even giving you cyberware for free whilst not asking for anything in return. There's also Panam, V's friend and potential partner who genuinely cares for you, and the entire gang of Aldecaldos, which is okay with launching a full attack on Arasaka just for a chance to save V's life. However, the most important person in the entire game is definitely Johnny. When you first meet him, neither V or Johnny like each other, and as I mentioned earlier, V actively dislikes Johnny. But as we go through more of the game, we learn why Johnny becomes the selfish and loathful person he is. He lost his friend and his arm during a corrupt war as a teenager. He saw his lover Alt get kidnapped in front of his eyes and was unable to save her, leaving her trapped in Mikoshi forever. Johnny didn't die as a good person, but when he comes back as part of V's psyche, he's given a second chance. However, he doesn't really affect or reflect on it until the graveyard scene. When V becomes the first person to actually write something on Johnny's grave, he gets emotional and realizes that, despite being a selfish bastard, this is his only hope, a chance at a small bit of redemption, and he wants to save V's life. This is one of the most powerful moments for me in the game, as humans make mistakes, and we see how even in this rotten world, someone as unlikable as Johnny can decide to change, and to do the only thing he can do, save a life. Unfortunately, as I mentioned previously, Night City is the wrong place for happy endings. While the story up to the game's finale is really powerful and engaging, it wouldn't be nearly as impactful if it wasn't for the message the game's endings tell us. Cyberpunk has 5 different endings, well 6 if we count Phantom Liberty, and while I won't go into detail for all of them, it's important to know that they all share a very similar message. Siding with Arasaka and deciding to give your soul to them basically means you die a slow death, and your engram becomes corrupted and useless. This is what I consider the bad ending, and enforces the theme that trusting the big corporations while stabbing in the back Johnny, a person who you've been through with the whole game, won't give you a good ending despite their promises. Going with Pan Am or Rogue doesn't save V, but it also causes a lot of people to die, and honestly, it asks the question if V's life is even worth that at all. Then there's the Path of Glory ending, in which V returns to his life without Johnny and with about 6 more months to live. V becomes a legend and rents the afterlife. However, as I've explained earlier, this comes at a cost. His relationships, friendships he made, and bonds he has become meaningless, and despite the game leaving V's fate up for interpretation, we can be assured that he won't be remembered, and that he will probably have the same fate as Johnny, an empty graveyard with nothing. The arguably best ending in my opinion is giving Johnny control of V's body, as this is the only way either one of them gets to live a full life. This ending shows that Johnny genuinely has changed, and that he will always remember V, in part because he's forced to, I mean, he's using his body after all, but also in part because he's the man that gave him a new chance at life, and he moves away somewhere hopefully far away from Night City. This ending is also painful, as V had friends, people who cared for him, and to them, Johnny taking over his body doesn't sit well, and depending on your relationship, Pan Am vows to find Johnny and rip V out of him if she has to. Then there's one more ending, the Path of Least Resistance. In this ending, V decides that his life isn't worth all the bloodshed, and decides to go with the cleanest, least bloody option. It's silent and a faint gunshot echoes in the city. This is by far the most gut-wrenching ending, and the one that stuck with me a long time after finishing the game. In every ending during the credits, you hear voicemails left by V's friends and companions, and watching their reactions when V kills himself still hurts me.
When I said I was thinking about you, I meant a lot. About everything you did. And I guess I get it. Why you wanted to leave this place once and for all.
This is such an amazingly written ending, and while I would never consider going with it in an actual playthrough, it genuinely stuck with me, and is one of the best written moments I've ever seen in a video game. I think that Cyberpunk 2077 is an amazing game, and while it's far from perfect, and it launching in the state it did shouldn't have been acceptable. However, it has caused me to feel emotions I didn't think I would feel whilst playing a video game of all things. And unlike Night City, Cyberpunk as the game has a real soul, and it's one that I doubt I will get out of my mind anytime soon. I genuinely hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I would love to hear your comments and your impressions of the game and its world. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.